Farmers and ranchers in East Springfield rely on Cedar Creek for their livelihood. Without the creek, plants can't grow, cattle can't get food, and the ecosystem shrivels up. Ranchers are concerned and confused. Ranchers like the Huberts, who say they know something just isn't adding up.
We were all pretty much wondering if somebody was damming it up. We've seen some pretty dry years. We've never seen it this low, ever.
Don and Deborah Hubert raised their family and their cattle on this East Springfield ranch. They created their home on the banks of Cedar Creek more than 3 decades ago.
The last 2 years especially, it's drying up sooner, and nobody understands why.
Typically, water levels here at Cedar Creek come all the way up to the bridge. So if this was a couple years ago, I'd be standing underwater. It's not just ranchers and farmers who feel the impact.
My daughter and I and Nancy were trying to pull out whatever we could to save them. Fish, frogs, everything. And they were just dead. And we were just watching them suffer and die slowly.
The Huberts and neighbor Nancy Smith say the McKinsey-Willamette Watershed Council has been working with other organizations to restore the Cedar Creek area.
If they've altered the creek in some way to enhance the aquatic circumstance during low flow months, they get a big fat F on their project.
So I called the watershed to see what they are doing. Executive Director Larry Six says 2 years ago, they teamed up with Springfield Utility Board to create a diversion from the McKinsey River and channel more water into Cedar Creek. But this year, Sub says they've reached a roadblock.
The in-river work that we wanted to do is not going to be able to be done until both of the head gates are replaced. And so that's what the holdup has been, because we do not own the head gates.
In the meantime, the Huberts continue to struggle and survive.
We can only take so many buckets of frogs and so many, so much fish to try and save them. And she's been doing it all summer long, trying to keep them alive, It's pretty sad to a little girl, especially.
In past years, Sub only needed permits from the Corps of Engineers, but this year they were deferred to the National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. Now, until those head gates are fixed and the people who own them found, the diversion work is on hold. Janet Norrie and her daughter, Kate Reese, believe it's the distemper virus that's killing feral cats in the Irving Road, Donegal Street area. And they say neglectful owners who don't fix and vaccinate their cats and who abandon their animals are to blame.
You take your child to another neighborhood and just push it out of the car.
And this neighborhood seems to be like a magnet. Like, I don't know, maybe on Yelp. Where do I drop my cat? Yelp, right here.
Reese and Norrie have already watched one cat abandoned in their neighborhood die.
And the person that lives there picked up the dead body and disposed of it.
They're hoping his brother, another feral cat, might somehow survive the highly contagious disease.
He's looking a hell of a lot better than he did yesterday.
Oh, and the day before, I really thought he was going to go.
It's a hard life out there.
Veterinarian Dr. Gail Schroeder says she hasn't seen many recent cases of feline distemper in the area, but the viral infection can spread rapidly between cats.
From grooming each other and sharing food and water dishes and toilet areas.
Reese recognizes the symptoms right outside her door.
He's over there shaking his head and just acting weird. Bloody sputum in its nose, and its eyes were hardly open, and they're really gooey, gooky looking.
They succumb very quickly to it, and unfortunately a lot of them will die from it.
Now the two women are trying to keep their own cats healthy.
Because they know once it starts in an area, it's in the dirt, it's in the grass. You can't get rid of it.
Even if you can think of when you were a little kid and you were sick, would you want to be outdoors in the cold and nobody feeding you?
While watching the disease slowly consume another life.
It does attack their nervous system.
Yeah.
And that must be really painful. It must just make it want to die.
As a cat lover, it really breaks my heart.
There is something you can do to help stop the spread of this deadly disease. If you notice a feral cat problem in your Lane County neighborhood, contact Green Hill Humane Society for free help and information. And remember to schedule a vaccine for your own pet and get it spayed or neutered. The people photographed in these pictures seem to be very outdoorsy, climbing, hiking, even just hanging with family. This lost camera documents it all. backyard barbecues, mountain climbing, hiking the Obsidian Trail, lounging by the Willamette. Memories, moments frozen in time, gone in a flash. The man who found the camera is from Bend. He wouldn't let me record the phone call, but says the camera looks something like this. It's a Sony CyberShot with over 650 pictures on it from all around Oregon. The finder believes this man is the owner. He says the man took dozens of selfies with the camera, which is why he thinks the camera belongs to him. The man says he found the camera around Thanksgiving 2014 in the parking lot of Manly's Tavern near Crescent Lake. He took the camera home, left it on a shelf, and forgot about it. Until last weekend, reinvigorated, the Good Samaritan is turning to news outlets and social media to reunite the lost memories with the people who shared them. Well, this story might just have a happy ending after all. Just a few minutes ago, we got a lead on who this man might be, but I'm still trying to get into contact with the camera owner or any of his friends in those pictures. I'll give you an update though later tonight on KVAL News at 6. It has been a long journey for the camera and for its owner, a man I've been in contact with for the last month, a man named Moose. Meet Moose.
Everybody calls me Moose.
Moose and his friend Steve Andreessen spend their free time exploring the great outdoors.
Climbed the Three Sisters, all three in one day. That's something that I don't know anyone else who's accomplished.
If you look up at the Three Sisters like we do every day in this community, you want to say I've been up there.
And documenting adventures with his camera. Not a phone, because he doesn't have one.
That's because he's frugal on steroids. The only food he actually eats is sunflower seeds.
All of that exaggeration there.
Get around each other a little bit.
I don't have a lot of things that people have that people think is mandatory, but a simple life. I have enough communication with everybody I need.
Also captured on the camera, his time with seniors and veterans.
I volunteer for the Veterans of Portland. It's really something that you get a lot more out of it than you give.
He's actually a humble man when it comes right down to it. He's not the kind of person to talk about himself or talk about his accomplishments. That's primarily because there are so few.
There are so few. I was wondering who's going to say it, him or me.
Tuesday.
Is this what was missing?
Moose was reunited with those memories.
It's the one bit of technology and a treat I have given myself is a camera. Oh, it's even in the case. Look at that. With the 10-cent garage sale tag on it, I'll be darned.
And eager to make some new ones.
I'm going to see if it works, guys. There it is.
Oh, wow.
Another memory on an old camera with a new friend.
I think that requires a picture of us.
All right. Moose says he plans to call the man who found the camera, Cliff, to say thank you. He'll be using a friend's cell phone. If there was a drug you could take to make you feel smarter, more productive, would you take it? Well, as more and more young adults are finding out, some shortcuts come with a cost. I spoke candidly with two young men who share their story of addiction and journey through recovery.
It made school easier, so then it made work easier, and then it made life easier.
Adderall, Ritalin, Provigil, whatever the brand. These are stimulants that someone you know has probably taken.
I think the past 5 years particularly, we've seen a lot of the legal amphetamines being misused by adolescents and young adults.
Probably 2 out of 5 people that I met.
Methylphenidate, or Ritalin, has been prescribed to children with attention deficit disorder since the 60s. But it wasn't until the mid-90s when production in the United States rose significantly. That's also when Adderall hit the market.
They don't have this diagnosis in Europe or China. This is an American disease, and I think it's overdiagnosed.
Many physicians are now realizing that the use of these drugs is going far beyond prescribed doses.
Chew them up or snort it either.
And onto the black market.
$80 a week towards the end.
So why are so many young adults abusing these medications?
They did help with grades quite a bit. It's almost kind of an unfair advantage.
Feeling pressured to get it all done at once, so I would take Adderall, or other substances.
Dr. Schwarzler tells me drugs like Adderall and Ritalin are considered Schedule II controlled substances, regulated the same way as other addictive narcotics like oxycodone, methadone, even some forms of cocaine.
And I think the main thing about them is they are addicting.
And when addicts can't get more of the prescription drug,
I think some of them do resort to methamphetamine.
It helped me with a lot of classes and didn't help me with life, so it was kind of a give and take, I guess, with it.
Now, to be clear, Dr. Schwarzler and other psychiatrists believe there is a significant therapeutic use for medications like Adderall and Ritalin in treating young patients with attention deficit disorder and hyperactivity. But it's the ease of accessibility on college campuses through student health centers or peers that can make it a dangerous, addictive drug. Now, if you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, you can visit our website, KVAL.com, for a list of resources. Do you remember your first summer camp? Running, jumping, swimming, climbing, maybe even horseback riding? Well, for millions of disabled children across the United States, that memory will only ever be a dream. But at Camp Attitude, they've found a way to make those dreams come true.
Kaylee went on a pontoon boat. 6 guys lifted her power wheelchair onto a pontoon boat. I mean, there's no limit to what they do. They find a way to make it happen.
The Kordowski family is back at Camp Attitude for a second year.
Come back is kind of like a lottery ticket, you know. It's like we won something to come back.
2 of their children, Kaylee and Caden, were diagnosed with an extremely rare chromosomal mutation, PMLD, that affects the white matter in their brains.
And the doctors that we work with have never had a patient with it before, so they have no idea what to expect either. So we just take it day by day.
Located just east of Sweet Home, Camp Attitude is a sanctuary for hundreds of families a year with children with disabilities who might not otherwise have a place to fit in.
The first time that we were here, we were just overwhelmed.
You cannot walk on our campus and not be changed for the better.
And thanks to the work of camp staff like Shelley Day and volunteer buddies like Josh Kuhl and Holly Smith,
I love her so much.
The week-long stay is completely free to disabled campers and their families.
Financially, with all the medical equipment you have to buy, you can't afford a trip to Disneyland. They can relax, know that everything's taken care of for a week.
From the cabins and utilities to games and activities, everything is designed with the needs of the campers, special or otherwise, in mind.
And Caden loves the wheelchair swing. We don't have one of those at home.
I just love pushing on the swing. It's because he has the biggest smile, and it's so infectious that I just can't help to have fun myself.
And that goes for the parents' needs too.
Read a book. You know, we kind of take that for granted, to just sit and read a book or just have a minute to take a deep breath and know you don't have to worry for a change.
15 years ago, Camp Attitude started out with just 3 family yurts. The property now has enough cabins to house more than 24 families a week, roughly 200 a summer. But that's not enough. More than 15 Oregon families are on a waiting list for camp, and that list is growing.
And we're hoping through fundraising and grant writing that we can continue to expand our campus.
A campus where, for 1 week a year, kids with disabilities can just be kids.
We don't stick out, we fit in. It's awesome. It's a really, really good feeling to fit in and not feel like we're catching everyone's attention. So it's a nice feeling.
In addition to building more cabins, founder Dan Whitney says he has dreams of expanding the entire camp to serve families with disabled children across the nation. If you feel called to volunteer or to support Camp Attitude, head to our website, KVAL.com, for more information. Reporting for KVAL News, I'm Lisa Nico.